Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Middleware Technologies. Today we will be seeing how we can set up a Jenkins agent and attach it to a Jenkins controller. So what is the difference between Jenkins controller and Jenkins agent? Okay, so Jenkins controller is the primary server or the master server on which we install the Jenkins service, and this is where the home directory of the Jenkins service is placed, which contains all the information related to the Jenkins configuration, Jenkins jobs, and all the related setup files on the server. So this is going to be the core file on which all the important configuration files and the binary files required for the Jenkins service to be up and running are installed. Okay, but why we want to have a Jenkins agent server? Okay, so Jenkins agent server is where we are going to build our projects. Basically, like whatever jobs we are going to create in the Jenkins service on the master controller, we are going to schedule those jobs to be executed on the build server, wherein it is going to be purely going to build the projects based on the Jenkins job which we have defined in the Jenkins controller. Okay, and it is going to be running in an isolated environment separate from the Jenkins controller, wherein all the other configuration files and server certificates are placed on the controller or master server. Okay, so this is one of the best practices that every organization need to carry out whenever they are going to set up a Jenkins server. They need to have at least one server wherein they which is dedicated for building their projects rather than building that projects on the Jenkins controller server. Okay, so that is why we are going to see in this video how we can set up a Jenkins agent and attach it into a Jenkins controller. In our last video, we have seen like how we can set up a secure Jenkins server on Jenkins control service, Jenkins control server. So let me go into my shell. So right now we have I have my Jenkins control up and running. So let me log in into that machine which serves the Jenkins service. So let me check my service status. So as you can see, it is up and running, and it is communicating on HTTPS protocol 8443. Okay, so let me get to my console and try to see if it is up and running. Okay, so as you can see that my Jenkins service is up and running. Okay, so let me go into my documentation again. So here we are going to see like how we can set up a Jenkins agent. Okay, so as a prerequisite, so the step one is we need to have a Jenkins service up and running. So here, as I have shown you on Jenkins control machine, like I have my Jenkins service up and running, and I can access the Jenkins portal on 8443 protocol. So this is taken care by the step one, and in order to get more details like how we have carried out the Jenkins installation, you can follow the link in the YouTube video highlighted on the top. Alright, so you can set up the Jenkins service for this further steps. Okay, so going to the step 2, like so I'm going to set up a Jenkins controller and Jenkins agent service. So there will be two servers. So right now, like we are on Jenkins control, that is acting as a controller server. So let me log in into my host machine, and let me start up my Jenkins agent also. Okay, so I have started up my Jenkins agent. So let me log in into my Jenkins agent also. So as you can see, like I have logged into my Jenkins agent. right now, like I do not have a DNS setup for my host machines to communicate, my virtual machines to communicate on the host name. So what I have done is I have updated my etc host file on each machine, like pointing the IP address and host name, updating the IP address and host name for each of the server and the file. Okay. So this way, like I'll be able to ping with my host name from each of the server. Okay. So from the controller, I can ping Jenkins agent. So with this, we can make sure like our Jenkins control and Jenkins agent are communicating with each other and up and running. Okay, so let us go into my documentation again. So as a step 2, we have configured our fully qualified domain name in etc host file so that they can be resolved using the host names. So let us go into our next step, the step 3, installing the Java on Jenkins agent. So in order to build in order to set up the Jenkins agent, we need to have the JDK installed on the Java the agent node also. So let us make sure like we have the Jenkins JDK installed on our agent server also. Okay. So this can be verified using Java version. So right now, as you can see, like I have my OpenJDK installed. Okay. So you can verify the package also. So as you can see, like this is the JDK package that is currently installed on my machine. Like if it is not available, like you can try to install the OpenJDK version, either the Java 8 or JDK 8 or JDK 11, whichever is available for you in the system. Okay, so with this we will be having the JDK installed on our agent machine. Okay, so step 3 is completed, wherein we have set up the JDK on the agent machine. Let us proceed on to the step 4. So this is important step where we will be carrying out the configuration for attaching the Jenkins agent node to the Jenkins controller. Okay. So here in this step, what we are going to do is, so basically in order to connect to a agent node, we need to communicate with that agent node using some protocol. So here we are going to use the SSH protocol in order to communicate with the agent node and try to connect to it. Okay, but in order to communicate with the agent node, we need to have the credentials to access that node. So basically any login credential which has access to the agent node, we will try to utilize them and create the set up the credentials in the Jenkins master server or controller server. Okay, so right now, like let me show you, like so I'm on my controller machine. So if I try to log in with admin user, so I'm able to log in with my admin credentials, but I have set up the SSH key-based passwordless authentication. So I'm not it is not asking me for a password, but in case you do not have SSH password less authentication enabled, like it will ask for the password of this user and you will be able to authenticate with the Jenkins agent. Okay, so this is the user that we are going to create in our Jenkins controller for authentication purpose. Okay, so now let us go into our Jenkins portal and let me log in. So here we need to go into manage Jenkins and go into manage credentials. Okay, this is the store that is going to store our credentials. So let us click on that one and And here when you go into this store, like it contains the domain which is global credentials, wherein we need to add the credentials. Okay, so let us try to add the credentials. So here, as a first method of trying to connect to our Jenkins agent, we are going to use username and password to connect to the agent machine. Okay, and we are going to set up this object at scope global, so that everybody can every other object can access it. Okay, so let me provide my username here and the password, and let me provide the ID. Basically it is string which will be using in other places in order to access this credentials. Okay, so let me provide this name as basic auth. Let me give it as basic auth. Okay, and yeah, so let me set up this description also. Okay, so this is going to create our basic auth credential in this place. Okay, so we have our username and password credentials configured in this basic auth object. So now the next part is we need to set up our node or create the node. Okay, using the basic authentication credentials. Okay, so let us see like how we can achieve that one. So we need to again go into manage Jenkins, go into manage nodes, and here we need to click on the new node, and the node name can be anything, but for convenient purpose, like we can give it the name of the host name or the agent node host name which we are going to configure. Okay, so let me name it as something else for let me try to do this way. So I'll try to delete my existing node. Okay, so we'll try to recreate this one. So let us go into manage nodes and clouds and new node. So let us give the node name as the host name, Jenkins agent, permanent agent, and create. And now here we need to configure some details about this node. So node name is Jenkins node, description let us place it as same, number of executors on that node let us place it as 1 right now, but depending upon the number of CPUs that you have or the load that it can take, you can configure the number of executors based on that. Usually it should be less than the number of CPU cores that is available for the on that server. Okay, so that you need to make sure. And the remote root directory is where the workspace is going to be created. The workspace is going to be created, and it is going to execute your job, like download your job project details into that workspace and try to execute it in that place. Okay, so here we are going to give it a name, the home admin Jenkins. So let me name it as something basic auth. Okay, so if you go this path on the agent node, so let me go into my agent machine. So this path is not available right now. Okay, so it is going to create this Jenkins basic auth. So like my home admin root directory is available for my admin user, but it doesn't contain this path folder. So it is going to create when we try to connect or attach the Jenkins agent. Okay, so we'll see like how it is going to happen in this further steps. Okay, so label, let us place the label name as same as the host name, but you can place it as anything which is with which you will be able to identify your node. Okay, so here usage, we are going to use this node as much as possible. So basically we want this node to be acting as the build server rather than the controller. Okay, so that is the purpose of using configuring this step. Okay, and the launch method. So we are going to use SSH based authentication and to connect to our Jenkins agent. So we need to use this. We need to select this method and provide the host name. Okay, Jenkins agent, and we are going to provide the credentials which we have created, basic auth. Okay, and like how is the like once we try to connect to the agent server, like how it is going to verify the host key, like the Jenkins agent host key. So we need to provide a method. So let us not to verify anything right now. So if you go and select non-verifying verification method, it is not going to verify the authentication, the host key, and it is going to automatically connect to that machine. Okay, so let us see. So it is launched, and you can go into the logs and you see the agent is successfully connected and online. Okay, so you can see the Jenkins agent is online right now. Okay, but the host key, as I mentioned, is not going to be verified over here. As you can see, the host SSH host key are not being verified. Man-in-the-middle attack is possible with this approach. Okay, but let us try to do a verification of the host key. So let us try to set up our Jenkins agent node in such a way that the host Jenkins agent host key is verified. Okay, so for that purpose, let us try to delete this agent again. Okay, and try to set up the same agent with host key verification. Okay, so let us name it same as what we did in our last step. Try to create it. Description same as the agent name, and here so as I said, like it is going to create that folder structure. So I have not shown you that one. So it has created that folder structure and copied this one. Okay, but let us try to delete it for time being and recreate it. Okay, so on the agent node I have deleted that path wherein the remoting.jar file is going copied, and which path will be used for executing our build. Okay, so let us try to reconfigure it again, this node with using the SSH host key authentication. Okay, so now like we are going to use launch agent with SSH same, and provide the host name and provide the credentials, basic auth, and now here we are going to select the host key verification strategy as known host file. Okay, for this purpose, the what it will do is the master server is going to look for a known host file to find the Jenkins agent or the agent host key in that and try to match it with the host key that is provided by the server. Okay, so this is so in order to use this method, what we need to do is on the Jenkins controller. Okay, on the Jenkins controller we need to first get the SSH key scan done. We need to run SSH key scan and get the keys for Jenkins agent. Okay, so this is going to provide us all the SSH keys, host keys for that server. Okay, and this content we are going to copy and place it in var lib Jenkins .ssh folder. We need to create this .ssh folder and we need to place it in the known host file here. Okay, so these are the host keys that are provided by that command which we have placed in this file, and make sure like this complete folder okay, is owned by Jenkins. Okay, so this is what I've shown already shown you in my documentation, for which the link I'll be sharing in the blog reference in the YouTube description. Okay, so as you can see, like I have created the SSH folder in varlib Jenkins and created that known host file. Okay, so this step, let me remove this one. Okay, so I'm going to create that known host file and copy it into the SSH folder. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this step is going to create our known host file and copy it into the SSH folder which we have created, and changing the ownership of Jenkins. Okay, so but why we are doing this step, like why we are using the varlib Jenkins other than we can use any other folder, right? But why you're using like as I said, the Jenkins service runs using the username Jenkins and group Jenkins. So if you look at the etc password file for that user Jenkins, the base directory, the base folder for that Jenkins user is varlib Jenkins. So this is where it is going to look for that SSH folder, .sh hidden folder, and try to look for that known host file in this location. Okay, so for that purpose we are going to we need to copy that known host file into this location so that the Jenkins server is able to identify that known host file and try to find the Jenkins agent key, that is the agent server. Okay, so with this, like we should be able to save the configuration. So as you can see, like it is now connected successfully, the agent is connected successfully and online. In the top, like if you can verify, like opening SSH key and searching for Jenkins agent host key in varlib Jenkins SSH known host file. So this is where it tries to identify. So that is why we copied the known host file with that key into this location. So with that, like our connection is successful and it is able to authenticate and connect to that agent. Okay, so this is another method with secure method with which we are able to communicate with our agent. So we have carried out our launch agent using basic authentication and known host file verification, and we have seen like how once it is connected, like it creates that folder structure and copies the remoting.jar. Like here I have mentioned the Jenkins, but you can mention any other folder wherein you want to build your works projects. Okay, and let us try to look at another method, like wherein we are going to manually provide the verification provide the key for verification strategy. Okay, so let us try to delete this agent again and try to recreate it. So Jenkins agent is our host name. Let us place this at same as node name, and let us provide the same details like as we did, and let me provide the host path where which we are going to use for the Jenkins agent build. Okay, so let me copy the label also same as this one, and launch method is going to be same, launch agent with SSH, and here I'm going to give Jenkins agent and credentials basic auth, and instead of known host file, like we are going to select manually provided key verification. Okay, so here what we need to do is we need to copy the SSH key which has been provided by the SSH key scan output basically. So let me go into my controller node and try to do SSH key scan, okay, and the host name of the node agent. Okay, so here, like, let us try to copy this last key. So this is the algorithm and the corresponding value. So we are going to use this one and copy this one. Okay, so with this will be, so instead of providing the known host file and configuring it locally, we can generate that, we can just capture that key and copy it over here into the keys SSH key location and save it, and it is going to connect to our agent. So as you can see, like, it is able to connect successfully. Okay, so here you can see the method is manually provided SSH key strategy that is being used. Okay, so this is another method wherein you can connect to the agent. And one more thing I wanted to show you over here is, so we have seen all the three methods, like known host file, non-verifying, and manually provided. But what is this manually trusted? So if you are going to select this manually trusted key verification, so what it is going to do is, it is going to look for a SSH key from the Jenkins agent server, and whatever key is going to be provided by that agent server, it is going to accept that one by default. So it is not going to basically verify that key. Okay, so that is one more method that you can configure. Okay, so now let me remove this node. Okay, so my agent is actually going down because I am low on my time space, but that is fine. If you have space available, it should be up and running all the time. Okay, so you can ignore that disconnect error which is getting seen all the time. Okay, so now we have deleted our node, and let us go into our documentation again. So we have carried out this all the steps related with the basic authentication, and now let us go into creating the SSH private key credentials on Jenkins node. So we are going to, instead of using the username and password, we are going to use the private key and the username private key which we are going to generate and use it in the credentials. Okay, so let us go into our server, Jenkins portal, manage Jenkins, and here we are going to go into manage credentials, and here, as I said, we need to go into the stores, and from this domain we are going to add credentials. Okay, instead of username and password, we will now select SSH username with private key. Okay, so here I am going to provide my ID which I am going to use while configuring the job. Okay, so let us try to give it a private auth. Okay, private auth. Okay, and give the description as same as that, but the username for which I am going to generate the SSH keys is admin. Okay, because why I'm using admin is because I have both the servers, the Jenkins control and Jenkins agent, with the admin user created on each of them, and the home directory for those two users is home admin. Okay, so I'm going to use that user, and now we need to enter the private key over here. Okay, so for that, okay, we need to generate the SSH key, public and private key using SSH keygen. Okay, so this is going to generate the SSH private key and public key. Okay, so if you go into my home directory .ssh, okay, so it has created the these two key files, id_rsa, so which is private key, okay, and id_rsa.pub, so this is the public key. Okay, so these two key files will be generated, but we want the private key. So we need to copy this. Okay, we need to copy this and add it into this location. Okay, and passphrase, I have not provided any passphrase while generating the SSH keys, so there is no need, and you can just save this. Okay, so our private auth is now created. So we are going to use this private auth and try to connect to the Jenkins agent. Okay, so let us now go into documentation again. So we have created our SSH private key. Now let us see like how we can create a node and try to connect to it using the SSH private key and the key authentication method, whatever is available for us. Okay, so let us go into manage Jenkins, manage nodes, and create new node. Let us give a node name as host name and create permanent node. Okay, Jenkins agent description will keep it as same, and home directory I'll keep it as what we have created earlier. Okay, and label will copy it as same. Okay, launch agent using SSH and provide the host name. And now here we are going to use private auth credentials. Okay, so this is the SSH private key and username, and instead of known host file, let us try to use manually trusted key verification in this case. Okay, so with this basically what it tries to do is it is going to connect to that agent using our private key, and it will be trying to authenticate with the corresponding public key, so which should be available. So before trying to connect to that agent, what one more step we need to carry out is, once we have created the SSH keys, we need to copy this public key. Okay, we need to copy the public key onto the SSH on the agent node. Okay, Jenkins agent. So we need to provide the path. Okay, and we need to copy it into the Jenkins agent server. So right now, like as I said, like I have the admin user, so I am going to connect with that admin user and copy it into the admin users home directory. So it will be copied into the authorized keys file over there. Okay, so with this command you can just run it and execute it. So I already have this key already copied. As you can see, it mentions the key already exists on the remote system. So if you go into my agent machine and go into .ssh, so it is going to create authorized keys and copy the public key over here. So this public key is going to be used to do a mutual handshake with the private key which we are passing from the Jenkins controller. Okay, so let us try to save this and go into logs. So as you can see, the agent has been successfully connected, and we are using the manually trusted key verification strategy for authenticating our private key. Okay, authenticating our user with a private key. So this is how you can configure your Jenkins node and try to connect to it, and yeah. So okay, so that is all I wanted to show you, like how we can create an agent And one more thing, so once we have the agent, so let me bring it online. I'm low on space, so that is why it is keeping on going down. Bring it online. Okay, so now I can see the Jenkins agent is up and running. So this is my very basic freestyle project that I have created. Okay, so here, like what I'm trying to do is I'm going to restrict this project to be executed on the node agent. So let me refresh my screen once. Okay, so now you can see it shows label Jenkins matches one node. Okay, so it is going to execute this job on that specific node. Okay, and in the build steps, what I'm doing is I'm just going to print the environment variables from that server. Okay, Jenkins agent. So let me try to save it and try to run it. So as you can see, the build has executed successfully, and if you go into the console output, you can see started by user admin. Okay, and it is building remotely on Jenkins agent node, which we have just configured, and it is going to print all the environment variables over here. Okay, so this is how like you can get your jobs scheduled and executed on the Jenkins agent node rather than executing on the controller node, which is not a best practice. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching this video, and you guys have a great day.